When Wicked for Good opened with $30.8 million in early previews starting Monday, nobody expected what would happen by Friday night. The Jon M Chu sequel completely shattered the box office, obliterating its predecessor's record and becoming the biggest Broadway adaptation opening of all time. But here's what makes this even more insane. Universal spent $300 million making both Wicked films, gambling everything on a two-part musical most men refuse to see, and the bet just paid off in ways that have Hollywood executives completely rethinking everything they thought they knew about what sells tickets. The numbers coming in from this weekend are rewriting the rules, and what happened in the UK might be the most shocking part of this entire story. Wicked for Good absolutely dominated its opening weekend, pulling in a staggering $150 million domestically from 4,115 theaters across North America. That's not just good, that's record-breaking on multiple levels. The film crushed the previous Broadway adaptation record held by last year's Wicked, which opened to $112.5 million in the same pre-Thanksgiving frame. Universal's gamble on splitting the musical into two films just became one of the smartest decisions in recent box office history. The sequel opened 33% higher than its predecessor, despite being the second half of the story, proving audiences weren't suffering from Wicked fatigue but were actually hungrier for more. Friday alone brought in $68.6 million, including previews, technically making it the biggest single opening day of 2025. That figure beats a Minecraft movie's $57.11 million and Superman's $56.5 million, though it comes with an asterisk because Universal got creative with their preview strategy. They started Monday screenings for Amazon Prime members, added Wednesday double features for superfans wanting to watch both films back-to-back, and rolled into standard Thursday night previews. By the time Friday officially arrived, the movie had already banked $12.6 million. Some rivals complained about the extended preview period inflating the numbers, but Universal's aggressive strategy paid off massively.
The film scored an A grade on CinemaScore exit polls, matching the first installment's audience reception. That grade is crucial because it indicates strong word of mouth, which translates to legs through the Thanksgiving holiday and into December. Reviews have been generally positive, though slightly cooler than the awards-worthy raves that greeted Part 1 last year. Critics noted that Act 2 of the musical is darker, less fizzy, and doesn't pack as many instantly memorable songs as the first half, but audiences don't seem to care about the tonal shift. They're showing up in massive numbers, 71% of them female, proving once again that women drive box office when Hollywood actually gives them something they want to see. Globally, Wicked for Good is flying even higher, with $226 million worldwide through Sunday. The international total of $76 million represents a 15% increase over the first film's overseas opening, which is massive news for Universal. The original Wicked over-indexed heavily in North America, making Broadway adaptations traditionally domestic-focused properties. For Good grew its international audience significantly, proving the IP has genuine global appeal beyond just American theater fans who grew up with the musical. The UK went absolutely bonkers for Elphaba and Glinda. The market delivered $24.4 million for the weekend, representing 80% of the entire UK box office and dwarfing the second-place film by more than 15 times. That's complete domination across 2,750 screens. The opening became the biggest of 2025 in the UK, including and excluding previews. The second biggest opening ever for a live-action musical. The biggest ever for a stage musical adaptation, the biggest three-day November opening, and Universal's third biggest launch ever in the territory. British audiences are treating this movie like a cultural event, not just another film release.
Australia matched that energy with $8.6 million and 78% of the top 10 movies in the market. This marks the biggest live-action musical opening ever in Australia, surpassing Beauty and the Beast, the biggest non-holiday opening of 2025, Universal's third biggest opening in the country, and the third best November opening ever. Korea leaned heavily into IMAX, which represented 12% of the nationwide total, with the overall opening exceeding F1, Gladiator 2, How to Train Your Dragon, and Mufasa, and more than doubling Barbie and Lilo and Stitch.
The Philippines gave Universal its biggest opening weekend since 2018, with $2.7 million on 525 screens, well above Wicked, Barbie, Jurassic World Rebirth, and HTTYD, and more than double Lilo and Stitch and Mufasa. Brazil, where the cast toured extensively for promotion, delivered $2.5 million from 1,547 screens, marking the biggest opening of all time for a stage musical adaptation in that market, beating the first Wicked. That Latin American enthusiasm shows how Universal's global marketing push, including targeted tours and localized promotion, paid massive dividends. Mexico added $3.7 million to round out the top 5 international markets, alongside UK, Australia, Germany at $4.1 million, and Korea at $3.8 million. These aren't just good numbers for a Broadway adaptation, they're exceptional numbers, period. Wicked for Good now stands as the second highest grossing opening weekend of 2025 domestically, ahead of Lilo and Stitch's $146 million and behind only A Minecraft Movie's $162 million. It's the second highest opening weekend for a Universal Pictures film of all time domestically, trailing only 2015's Jurassic World at $208.8 million. It's the second highest opening weekend prior to Thanksgiving in history, behind only 2013's The Hunger Games: Catching Fire at $158 million. And it's the fourth biggest box office debut of 2025 globally, proving this isn't just a domestic phenomenon, but a worldwide hit.
The success becomes even more impressive when you consider the context. The fall box office has been dismal, possibly the worst in decades, according to industry analysts. October was particularly brutal, filled with male-skewing films that underperformed while leaving female and family audiences with nothing to see. Theaters were starving for a true blockbuster, with the last 9-figure opening being Fantastic Four: First Steps way back in July. The biggest opening since then was The Conjuring: Last Rites at $84 million in early September. Wicked for Good provided the shot in the arm exhibitors desperately needed heading into the holiday season. Universal's strategy of producing both Wicked films simultaneously for a combined $300 million, not including massive marketing budgets, initially seemed risky. Broadway adaptations have historically been difficult for Hollywood to crack profitably. Cats famously bombed despite an all-star cast and significant budget. But NBC Universal Entertainment chief Donna Langley remained committed to proving stage musicals could work on the big screen, and she's been spectacularly vindicated. The first Wicked became the biggest Broadway adaptation ever, with $756 million globally, and For Good is tracking to match or exceed that total. The film benefited from having virtually all IMAX and premium large-format theaters to itself, boosting revenue through luxury ticket prices. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo's star power, combined with Jon M Chu's direction, created an event film that fans treated as appointment viewing. Social media exploded with coordinated group outings, witchy outfit coordination, and fans treating the opening like a celebration they'd penciled on calendars for months. That early enthusiasm drove pre-sales through the roof, setting records and establishing a high floor for opening weekend projections.
The competition got absolutely crushed. Lionsgate's Now You See Me, Now You Don't fell to second place after topping charts the previous weekend, earning just $2.6 million Friday and projecting a $9.1 million sophomore frame for a brutal 57% drop and a running total of $36.8 million through 2 weeks. Paramount's The Running Man slipped to fourth with $1.66 million Friday and a projected $5.8 million second weekend, a devastating 65% drop for the $110 million Glenn Powell production that's headed for a $27 million domestic total. Both films are male-skewing, and Wicked for Good proved yet again that female-driven content dominates when executed properly. 2 new releases tried opening against the Wicked juggernaut and predictably got destroyed. Searchlight's Rental Family, starring Brendan Fraser as a struggling actor in Japan, managed 5th place with $3.3 million from 1925 theaters. Despite strong reviews with an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes and an A grade on CinemaScore, the specialty dramedy couldn't compete with musical mania.
Sony's bloody R-rated Sisu Road to Revenge landed at 6th with just $2.6 million from 2,222 theaters, well below the $3 million estimate and behind the 2022 original Sisu, which opened to $3.3 million before tapping out at $7 million domestically. The overall box office for the weekend hit $190 million for all titles, according to ComScore, about 7% to 8% down from last year's pre-Thanksgiving frame of $204.8 million, which included the $55 million opening of Gladiator 2 alongside the first Wicked. While the total is slightly lower year over year, Wicked for Good's dominance represents a massive win for the industry. David A. Gross, who runs movie consulting firm Franchise Entertainment Research, called it broad-appealing Hollywood filmmaking at its best, predicting strong word of mouth will drive business through Thanksgiving and into December. The soundtrack is already #1 on iTunes, indicating the music is resonating just like the first film's songs did. Defying Gravity became a cultural moment last year, and early signs suggest For Good's numbers will have similar staying power despite lacking that one massive breakout anthem. The catchy melodies and Ariana Grande's star power are driving repeat viewings, with fans returning to theaters multiple times to catch details they missed and sing along to their favorite parts.
Looking ahead, Wicked for Good faces competition from Disney's Zootopia 2, dropping November 26th, just 5 days after For Good's opening. Last Thanksgiving saw a record $433 million across all films, led by Wicked Part 1, Moana 2, and Gladiator 2. This year's holiday frame is shaping up similarly massive, with both For Good and Zootopia 2 positioned to dominate. Avatar: Fire and Ash arrives in December to close out the year, meaning theaters finally have the blockbuster lineup they've been desperate for after months of underperforming releases. The bigger story here is what Wicked for Good's success means for Hollywood's future strategy. For years, conventional wisdom said male-driven action films were the safest bets for massive openings. Female-skewing properties were seen as niche, incapable of generating blockbuster numbers. Wicked for Good just obliterated that outdated thinking. A musical where 71% of the audience is women, based on a Broadway show, opened to $150 million domestically and $226 million globally. That's not niche, that's mainstream dominance. Universal took a massive risk splitting one musical into 2 films, spending $300 million on production alone, and marketing each part as must-see event cinema. The gamble paid off spectacularly, with both installments becoming cultural phenomena and record-breaking hits. Donna Langley's determination to crack the Broadway adaptation code despite Katz's failure shows what happens when studios commit fully to a vision instead of playing it safe. She bet on female audiences showing up in massive numbers for content that speaks to them, and those audiences delivered beyond expectations. The international growth is particularly significant. Broadway musicals have traditionally been American-centric properties without much global recognition. Wicked for Good, expanding its overseas audience by 15% over the first film, proves that great storytelling transcends cultural barriers. Audiences in Korea, Australia, Brazil, Philippines, and across Europe are embracing Elphaba and Glinda's story, despite many having never seen the stage musical. That's the power of accessible filmmaking combined with universal themes of friendship, identity, and challenging authority. Wicked for Good isn't just another box office success story, it's a paradigm shift. The movie proves female audiences are box office gold when Hollywood actually invests in their interests. It demonstrates that Broadway adaptations can work spectacularly when produced with proper budgets and marketing. It shows that splitting long stories into multiple films can succeed if each part justifies its existence. And it confirms that taking creative risks on unconventional properties sometimes yields the biggest rewards. Universal turned a 2-part musical into a cultural phenomenon, grossing well over $1 billion combined. And every studio in Hollywood is taking notes for their future slates.